Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nathanius here, coming at you with a map preview for the upcoming poll here at the Redbull Battlegrounds. There are 7 maps up for your voting to decide which is going to make it into the official tournament pool for the Redbull Battlegrounds taking place later this month in New York City. Without further ado, this is our first map. As you can see, Blitzkrieg, created by Neo Bowman, 2-player map. Relatively large. There's a lot of space towards the bottom left and the bottom right sides for expanding for both players onto a long game. We can see the center of the map hosts a very interesting choke point setup that allows a single Xel'Naga watchtower to give a great amount of vision for spotting attacks in the mid game as well as controlling key late game positioning. Space behind 3rd or 4th base areas allow for quick drop play early on, as well as aggressive tactics like blink stalkers going in to the main base. So a lot of aggressive possibilities on this map, but also very interesting in the way that it's laid out for the mid game, as well as all of these later game bases and one solid one to split at the very end. And next up is going to be Graveside by Etc., another 2-player map featuring corner spawns as well as in-base natural expansions can be used for greedy play for not only Zerg players that like to get hatchery first, but Terran players that want fast command centers, or even a few brave Protoss players that want to take a quick nexus. Covered by rocks makes attacking these early bases a little bit more difficult. As the game progresses, we'll see these rocks in the center of the map open up a little bit more to allow for more army maneuvering, but still will require a great deal of patience to deal with the drop play that can hit these exposed 4th bases, as well as the choke points that can make attacks like Psionic Storm so much more powerful in the late game stages. Our third map is going to be Habitation Station by Sidian the Bard. A very large 2-player map featuring interesting destructible rocks on the left side, which allow for a player to cut off not only any type of scouting path in the later game, but also preventing attacks like run-bys from coming in to harass expansions. Obviously, we can see from the starting locations, air attacks can be viable in the early game with a rather straight rush distance between the players. However, in the later phase, holding on to these close gold bases will prove to be rather difficult, but very important, as a single watchtower also overlooks main attack pathways through the center of the map. We can expect to see some longer games on this map as it holds a little bit more of a Newkirk precinct-y type of feel. Our fourth map is Jungle Valley by Samro225AM, arguably the largest map in this voting pool. It is going to be a 4-player spawn, but also having 4 bases worth of economy locked in behind what are rocks covering the entranceway into the center of the map. You'll need to not only break down yours, but also your opponents to reach them. This means the only way to get an early scout is with units like the Reaper to jump up cliffs, or the Mothership Core or Overlords. You need fast units. This also promotes potentially aggressive builds on such a large map, like Blink Stalkers, in order to bypass these map obstacles. Keep in mind that a single watchtower oversees the center of the map, so if you do want to go for that 4-gate through the double rocks, your opponent doing the same strategy might have a bit of an opportunity to spot it coming. Next up is New Polaris Rhapsody, probably one of the most interesting maps in the pool for the voting competition here. Features a cross-spawn setup on a rather small map, but interestingly enough, a low ground that fills with lava every 5 or so minutes, covering all middle pathways of the map, preventing players from really getting up close to their opponent for extended periods of time. Now, this does not cover some of these other high ground areas, such as the northeast side of the map, as well as the southwest area. These are the safe zones, which means late game play is still possible, but any type of early aggression or attacks sent to your opponent are going to have to be meticulously planned out. For our 6th map, we have Shrieking Breeze by G-Fire. a very large 4-player map with a couple of interesting setups. Of course, we have the 4 corners for the spawns, but access to a fast third base and collapsible rock towers outside of both expansions give the player the freedom of choice as to where they want to take the natural, and then a very early third if they wish, given the map size. Of course, reaching your opponent in the early game requires going through the sides of the map, as we have rocks blocking off all entrance to the center of the map, making early game scouting difficult without units like Reapers, Overlords, or the Mothership Core. Now, other things to take into consideration as the map goes longer, these open spaces will make things like run-bys, drop play become much more powerful, as there's so many ways to just zigzag around across the map, especially with how much area is blocked off by the water. In the very late stages, we see a couple of interesting decisions made with the map. Resource-wise, we have the extra gas geysers at each side of the map, the top, right, and left center, allowing players to get a little bit of extra gas off of the normal amount of minerals. So you need less SCVs, drones, or probes to actually saturate these bases, as well as the lack of any watchtowers on this map, meaning this massive space has to be completely covered with vision from units like observers or overlords. And the final map that we're going to look at is Synapse by -0, a map featuring some interesting expansions at the center of the map, yielding again those high output Vespine geysers, a quick 2-base setup that can allow for normal fast expand builds, but due to the size of the map and the layout of some of these expansions, taking a third can be a little bit more difficult with all of the space you can attack from. The angles of penetration are definitely wide here, as well as the vulnerability to jump up plays like Reapers or Blink Stalkers into the main base of an unsuspecting opponent. Guys, you've seen all the maps now for the Redbull Battlegrounds Teamliquid map contest. It's your turn to decide which one of these you want to see played out at the Redbull Battlegrounds this November. Thanks for watching and enjoy the event.